the very fine edifice that we have that is going to be historic. And today, hopefully, we are so grateful to have in the studios members of the various communities to help us in a discussion about the history and how we can continue to maintain these gifts Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to Ghana and West Africa for that matter. We have in the studios for that matter Al-Haji Muhammad Amin Futa, who is the technical committee member of the National Mosque. Haji, you're welcome.
Thank you.
How is it?
I'm fine.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah. And also we have Sheikh Abdul Nasiru Deen. He's also the National Mosque of Ghana Management Committee Chairman. Today he's not representing Paragon. He's here because of this gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the nation, and is going to be commissioning. And for that matter, we want you our cherished viewers, to be with us, to be able to know what is going to happen on that day, and then going on how we can maintain this edifice. Let me come to you, Hajj, with regards to the mosque. What can you tell us with regards to the background?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The actual construction work on the project started in November 2000. Even though that is the case, the real genesis started as far back as 1985.
1985?
Yes. That was when the old Accra Central Mosque at the Rollins Park was demolished. Yeah. So when it became apparent that that mosque was going to be demolished, Muslim youth actually occupied the place. They refused to leave the place in the hope of stopping the demolition. And so over time, the elders, Muslim elders, the imams, the chiefs, and the authorities talked to them. Eventually, they vacated the place, and the place was demolished. So this put a lot of pressure on the elders, Muslim leaders, and the imams to try and get replacement mosque for the community. So over a period of years, they contacted the authorities and talked to so many people. Eventually,
when you say authority, you mean government for that?
The government. Okay. They contacted the government and the people of influence to see how best they could get a replacement. Eventually, around 1993, when the Honorable Mike Gizzle, he was then a minister, when he was appointed, they met him and revived their request for the allocation of a new land. Previously, they had gone around, the elders had gone around looking for places. They even went to look at the Accra, proposed the old Accra House of Folk Park. Yeah. They also proposed Opera Square. These all didn't work. People like Haji Malik Abdul Momuni, Mustafa Yahya, the late Mustafa Yahya, these are all people who have died, and the late Chief Ali Kadri English. They proposed these areas, but they were not adequate. So eventually, after 1993, when they contacted Magizo, together with the late Abbas Kilba, who used to be the executive secretary for the Lands Commission, and some other members, they managed to locate the Kanda site, the old brigade site. Then there were only a lot of pillars and rubbish there. Yeah. So that is how that plot was located, and it was given to, proposed to the government of the late President Rawlings. He accepted and approved it. So in 1995, that plot was given to Muslims of Ghana, and it was given in trust to the National Chief Imam to hold it in trust for all Muslims of Ghana. Now, even the payment for the demarcation of the plot and the pillaring, 200,000 cedis at that time, was paid by the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council. So now we'd acquired the plot. So the Chief Imam set in motion processes to have it developed, having in mind what happened to the Muslim community in the 60s. A plot was allocated around Circle to the Muslim community, and they sat down and it was taken. So this time they didn't want to make that mistake. So a committee, a high-level committee was set up of important people, professionals and others, to try and see, to plan what has to be done there.
Yeah.
That is when they took the decision that that place should be built as a mosque and an Islamic center. So when that decision was taken, they invited some of us to come in and assist with preparations. You know, that is maybe what type of mosque, what type of facilities to be there, the design and the rest. So the architect involved at that time is called Alhaji Seidu Goodman. He was sent around all over West Africa. In fact, the technical team was set up, led by the late Alhaji Bashiru Futa. He used to be a director at VRA. He was assisted by Alhaji Nuhu Bila, a retired Chief Justice, and a host of other people. And the architect was this Seidu Goodman. He went around these West African countries and came back and did a design. And also, we didn't have money, so we had to do fundraising. And there were so many people involved, including the late Alhaji Adamu Idrisu. He was the chairman of the finance committee, Alhaji Gado Mohammed, and so many people I can't mention immediately. Yeah. So the finance committee did a fundraising and they were able to raise some money. And eventually, around November 2000, there was a set cutting and the project was commenced. In fact, people, around November 2000, there was going to be a change of government.
Election,
yes, we weren't sure who was going to come because the late president was going. Yeah. Whether it was NPP or NDC, we didn't know what was going to happen. So we had to try and start something, put money on the ground, so that at least the faith we had in the late 60s wouldn't visit us again. Yeah, so that's how come the mosque started in November 2000. Now, since we didn't have enough money, we started the work by direct labor. We couldn't give it to a contractor. So we employed artisans and we had people who planned and supervised the work. There's this Alhaji Ridwan Brema. He used to be the director of service. He actually did the profiling, the setting out and all that. And then Alhaji Bashiru Sakibu got contractors. He was then the chief executive of Highway Authority. Contractors like Fandesco, Bill Finger, Baba Kamara, they provided equipment. And the excavation started in earnest. Yeah, we were also there. We were doing the supervision work. I was then an engineer of Bank for Housing. I used to come there in the morning. And then when I go to work in the afternoon, I come there. Yeah, we were supervising the work. So we did that till the fund that we had raised got finished. A lot of Ghanaians and even foreigners provided money. And we did it until the funds got exhausted. So when the funds got exhausted, Chief Imam now contacted the Saudi Arabian government, two people, the ambassador over there, ICQ, and others. So eventually, Saudi Arabia donated 1 million riyals for the project. This was also used. But when we had reached about 50% of it, the funds stopped coming in. In fact, they insisted that we should award the contract to a contractor, which we did. But after some time, the inflow stopped. So, well, we had to go back we took back the project from the contractor and had to go back to the direct labor. So,
for our cherished viewers, you can see this is what the edifice, the gifts, Allahu Akbar, mashallah. You can see how nice the National Mosque, that's inside the mosque. Sheikh. That's inside the mosque, right?
Yeah, inside the mosque, yes.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah.
Even though our design was completely different from this design.
I wanted to come to this.
Yes, no, this is the Ottoman design.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we started with the local, the way we do things. Beams, columns, slabs, the normal designs that you see here. That is what we're doing. Okay. Now, when we ran out of funds again after, we did the fundraising again, and then started again by direct labor. Then again, we ran out of funds. So somewhere around 2010, 2011, the Turks, our Turkish brothers, they came to the Imam They said they wanted to help. And the Imam invited the technical team and all those concerned and said, well, this is a good news.
Allah Akbar.
We all accepted it. And well, to cut a long story short, this is the result of...
Let me come to Sheikh.
Yes.
Looking at what we just saw and how Hajj started with the background, maybe if you can help us. Who are the donors? There are people who really wanted to know how. I think where you have gotten to, this is the very right question, if I may ask, for you to clarify for us and for our cherished viewers to know who are the very people who are behind this.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala ashrafil anbiya amma ba'd. I think from the submission of our father, he rightly put it from beginning. I mean, people started gathering their coins in Ghana over here, and Ghanaians abroad also started doing something until maybe countries started also coming to help. The first country to help, that is Saudi Arabia, then finally Turkey also came in. So the real donors or the financiers of the place, I would say, first of all, is we, the Ghanaian Muslims. That's the distance. Then secondly, maybe the Saudi Arabia, who also helped with some funding, 1 million riyal. And then finally the Turkish people who came. I should say Turkish people because they did it through the Turkish government. But then most of the money comes from down, the real people. I mean, down to people like even Masons. Now, the first person to have even donated money is a very poor teacher whose son called Furqan traveled for humanitarian service and then lost their life over there. So after he lost their life, later on he was seen in a dream telling the father that he needed a mosque to save his life. So the father called Ghana here and then got into contact with us that could we set up a mosque. With the little funds we went around and we found an appropriate place to actually do that particular mosque. But we're struggling with naming. I mean, because virtually it's the son, so you want the name to be given, and the institution rejected, the name. So upon going around, and we saw the foundation for that of the National Mosque of Ghana. And upon inquiries, we went to the National Chief Imam. A very interesting story I quite remember. The National Chief Imam said, just some few days ago, in his tahajjud, he raised up his hand and said, Ya Allah, the last leadership of the Muslims, where they lost their leadership, aren't their children alive or their grandchildren alive to actually hearken to this our desire? That was what was going through. And we all know that the Muslims, we lost our leadership in Istanbul through the text. I mean, that was where we lost our leadership. So when he saw us, he really shed tears. It means that he was there were some verses he quoted that wal akhiratu khairul laka min al ula. In the end, whatever in the end Allah would give to you might be the best than whatever came from beginning. That was really a comforting visit to the National TV. So to cut things short, I mean, the boys' small donation, which was about $65,000 at that time, small, because of the ikhlas of the father, things came increasing, and I can tell you more than $20 million had been spent for this particular project. We are yet to bring out the official figure of what has been spent. So the donors or the donations actually absolutely is coming from the heart of what the Ummah. And the beginning coming from the Muslims in Ghana over here, being supported by the other believers from outside.
I think this is what Allah has given us as Ghana Muslims. Very, very nice, very, very beautiful. You can see for yourself. Our viewers.
And I should also say that maybe we see it from afar thinking it's only a mosque. No, it's actually a complex.
That's what I'm going to. You tell us the features. What is in there?
Okay. Alhamdulillah, you see, the mosque itself, maybe our father, who is a technical person, could have given us much, technical features of the mosque. But because of lack of time, to summarize, it's sitting on about 5 plots. That's almost getting to 4,000 and something meter square. And then at a point in time, at least the interior aspect can take about 5,000. And then with the outside, it can take about even 10,000, making it maybe one of the largest mosque within the sub-region. Nigeria, we have their also national mosque. But if you look at the facilities situated within our own, you realize that our own is far bigger than their own. Aside the national mosque itself, within the national mosque, we have some small areas or offices that is designated for the memorization of the Quran, and then maybe a waiting place for the national chief imam. The national chief imam himself has a complex over there, an office complex. Underneath it is also a very nice clinic that will take care of our children and also our mothers. Then also there is a resource center for Islamic research for people who will do their masters or PhD and would want a library and a place to stay and then have a serene mind to also make deep research. They will get a place. Then we will have a huge big senior high school that can accommodate even boarding students, can take about close to 500 students. That will give what you call the sciences, the business and the arts over there, boys senior high school. So in all, it's a center that is coming to nourish us spiritually and to nourish us intellectually and then also physically if we have any.
I'll come to Alaj to add if there is something to be added with regards to what you just mentioned. But I observe there are some other female students, even though we said a boys' school. I don't know whether also.
We have the official school is actually boys. That's the formal school. But we have informal educational sessions over there that our mothers, our children within the area, then from time to time workshop can be organized for people to come outside, stay over there and then do so.